Breaking news as we come on the air, the deadly mass shooting on an American college campus. At least 2 people killed, several others wounded. Late today, what President Trump hinted about trade talks with China and a U.S. citizen accused of hijacking a small plane. First, the deadly shooting at Florida State University. At least 2 people killed, 6 others wounded. Shots fired near the Student Union building. Students told to shelter in place, some using a piano to barricade a classroom door. Video shows the suspect in shackles placed into an ambulance. Authorities identifying him as a student and a son of a sheriff's deputy. What we're now learning about one of the guns found at the scene. Faith Abubey reports from Florida. Also tonight, President Trump welcomes Italy's prime minister to the White House, the first European leader to visit since he imposed tariffs on the EU, and after imposing 145% tariffs on all Chinese products. What the president is now signaling about his trade war with China and President Xi. Rachel Scott is at the White House. Tonight, a Southwest Airlines flight from Houston to Mexico making an emergency landing, an engine catching fire in midair. Passengers evacuating onto a taxiway. A deadly hijacking in Central America. An American citizen seizing a small plane at knife point, demanding to be taken out of the country. A passenger on the plane taking him down. Tonight, the high-stakes resentencing hearing for Lyle and Eric Menendez. After more than 35 years behind bars for murdering their parents, the district attorney throws a last-minute wrinkle into their bid for freedom, what the judge has now decided. Here in New York, just moments ago, a federal grand jury indicting alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione on a murder charge, making him eligible for the death penalty. The ABC News exclusive. George Stephanopoulos one-on-one with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro just days after the arson attack on his home with his family inside. The governor grateful tonight for the firefighters. A horrific cable car accident. At least 4 people killed when a cable reportedly snapped, their cabin plunging to the ground. More than a dozen other passengers rescued. Eli Lilly reveals a potential breakthrough with its daily weight loss pill, how it compares to popular drugs such as Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. And America Strong tonight, a moving story. What happened when a bookstore owner called on the community for help?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this busy Thursday night. I'm Lindsay Davis in for David. We begin with the deadly mass shooting on the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee. Tonight, 2 people are dead, 6 wounded, and the alleged shooter is now in custody. Authorities say he's a student and the son of a longtime sheriff's deputy. Shots fired just before noon near the Student Union at the heart of the campus. An alert immediately went out. Law enforcement rushing in, the campus on lockdown, students told to shelter in place. Officers tending to the injured and confronting the shooter. Heavily armed officers securing the campus, clearing the buildings 1 classroom at a time. Students told to drop everything and go, walking away with their hands on their heads. Tonight, investigators and students alike are looking for answers. ABC's Faith Abubey leads us off from the scene in Tallahassee.
Tonight, terrifying scenes of officers clearing classrooms at Florida State University. Students with their hands in the air after authorities say a student who is the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy opened fire, killing at least 2 people. Students and staff running from the Student Union building just before noon in the middle of the sprawling campus in Tallahassee. A chaotic scene at the school as local, state, and federal law enforcement agents race to the scene. Danielle Estridi telling our Terry Moran she saw injured students.
I did see at least one. The law enforcement had took that person out on a stretcher and laid them in the street until EMS showed up. There was one person across the way that seemed to get escorted in an office chair with wheels, and they got wheeled down to the street. Armed officers clearing classrooms one by one.
Listen up real quick. We're trying to get all of you out of here in a timely manner. It is going to be a minute because there's a lot of you.
Holden Mamula describing seeing an officer with a gun.
It didn't feel real the entire time, and then it felt very real when I looked and saw an officer with an assault rifle, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
A music professor posting this image of the piano she used to barricade the door to her classroom.
I made sure I texted my mom and dad, made sure to let them know I was doing okay.
Luke Holgate is a freshman from Pennsylvania.
We were all just scared to death.
Law enforcement seen shackling the wounded suspect inside an ambulance, who authorities say is Phoenix Eichner, a 20-year-old student at FSU and the son of a sheriff's deputy.
The shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene.
President Trump today briefed on the shooting.
It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, this is the 80th mass shooting so far this year, the 6th in Florida.
And Lindsay, investigators say the suspect ignored repeated commands to drop his weapon, forcing them to shoot him. He's now in custody in the hospital, being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. He has refused to speak with investigators as they try to uncover what allegedly led him to this deadly rampage. Tonight, this campus is closed, and the victims are painfully waiting for some answers. Lindsay.
Another campus turned into a crime scene. Faith, thank you. President Trump hosting Italy's prime minister today to talk tariffs. The president expressing high confidence about reaching a deal with Europe and signaling some progress with China as well. But he says there's no rush. ABC's Rachel Scott is at the White House.
Tonight, President Trump welcoming Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to the White House, the first European leader he's met with since imposing his sweeping tariffs.
President Trump, how confident are you, sir, you can make a trade deal with the EU?
Meloni, a hard-right conservative and a Trump favorite. Her visit seen as a chance to bridge the interests of the United States and the European Union.
Should the European Union still believe that the United States is a reliable trade partner?
Well, I believe in the West unity, and I think simply we have to talk.
She believes in the president. She believes in the president.
The president says there's a 100% chance of a trade deal with Europe. And tonight, he signaled a possible thaw in the trade war with China after imposing a staggering 145% tax on all Chinese products coming into the U.S. China retaliating by slapping a 125% tariff on all American imports, including soybeans from American farmers.
You said that you have a good relationship with President Xi. Why not pick up the phone and call him and make a deal?
Well, we're going to make a deal. We'll have a deal. I think we're going to make a very good deal with China.
Later in the Oval Office, the president saying that China and the U.S. are talking, quote, all the time, even seeming to suggest that he may actually have spoken with President Xi.
Has he called you directly, President Xi, or reached out?
Well, you'd think it was pretty obvious that he has, but we will talk about that soon. It's not that important because, honestly, we're going to have a deal.
But Trump also said that there was plenty of time, which means the impact of the trade war will continue. Fed Chair Jerome Powell with this warning.
The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth.
Today, the president lashing out, calling that analysis a complete mess, adding Powell's termination cannot come fast enough.
You said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to. Do you believe you have...
If I ask him to, he'll be out of there.
Do you believe you have the power to remove him? And are you trying to do that?
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
The president says he's continuing talks with other countries, telling me, quote, the whole thing could be over in 3 to 4 weeks. But so far, no deals have been announced yet, Lindsay.
Rachel Scott, thanks so much. Now to the emergency landing at the airport in Houston. A Southwest Airlines flight to Mexico turning back after an engine caught fire in midair. The plane touching down, passengers evacuating down slides. ABC's Maria Villarreal is in Texas tonight.
Tonight, an engine fire forcing this Southwest Airlines jet to make an emergency landing shortly after takeoff. Passengers evacuated onto the airport taxiway.
Southwest 3006 declaring an emergency. We just lost number 2 engine.
Do you want to turn back to come back to the airport?
The Boeing 737 taking off from Houston's Hobby Airport just after 11 a.m. with 134 passengers on board, bound for Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. tracking data showing the aircraft looped back to the airport, touching back down about 30 minutes after takeoff. Firefighters waiting on the ground extinguishing the engine fire.
So far, no injuries reported in that Houston emergency, but we now know the FAA is investigating. Lindsay?
Maria, thanks so much. And tonight, the Supreme Court has set a date to hear arguments in President Trump's bid to end birthright citizenship. But the administration already suffering a defeat on its appeal of an order to facilitate the return of a Maryland man wrongfully sent to a prison in El Salvador. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
Tonight, the Supreme Court announcing it will hear oral arguments on the president's effort to end birthright citizenship, telling the parties to prepare to make their case in less than a month.
I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood.
On Inauguration Day, President Trump signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship, even though it's protected by the 14th Amendment. Lower courts then pausing the president's efforts. It's one of several escalating battles between Trump and the courts, many focused on his immigration policy. Tonight, a federal appeals panel ripping into the administration for failing to facilitate the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the undocumented migrant who was sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador because of an administrative error, a mistake the administration previously acknowledged. But the White House insists that Abrego Garcia, who has no criminal convictions, is a violent gang member. The panel of judges today saying the government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process that is the foundation of our constitutional order. Trump, who is paying El Salvador $6 million to hold Abrego Garcia and others, says it's up to that country's president to send him back. Pressed today on whether he'll take steps to return Abrego Garcia, the president punting.
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers, the DOJ. I've heard many things about him, and we'll have to find out what the truth is.
Today, the judge is saying that whether or not Abrego Garcia is a gang member is not the issue at hand. The government asserts that he is a terrorist and a member of MS-13. They write, perhaps, but perhaps not. Regardless, he is still entitled to due process. And moments ago, this remarkable image, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen meeting with Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, but that country's president tonight saying he will remain in custody there. And of course, Abrego Garcia's family insists he is not a gang member. And Lindsay, the Supreme Court has said that the administration has to facilitate his release. But that federal appeals panel today, now the second lower court, to say the administration isn't doing that. Lindsay.
All right, Mary Bruce from the White House for us. Thank you. Now to the dramatic hijacking involving Americans in the Central American country of Belize. Police say an American citizen hijacked a small plane at knife point. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers.
Tonight, the dramatic scene on a runway in Belize. Passengers running away from a small plane as authorities with guns race toward it. On board, an alleged hijacker who was a U.S. citizen shot dead by a passenger with a gun. It all happened aboard a flight from Corozal to San Pedro. 14 passengers aboard, including 2 Americans. Police say the plane was hijacked by U.S. citizen Akinyela Sawa Taylor, wielding a knife shortly after takeoff. Officials say the hijacker demanding to be taken out of the country, insisting the plane land to get more fuel. But as the plane was touching down, officials say a passenger aboard the flight with a licensed gun shoots and kills the suspect.
We're praying for him. He's our hero, I must say.
Lindsay, the U.S. Embassy in Belize say they are aware of the case and working with local police. Lindsay?
Matt, thank you. Back here at home to an L.A. courtroom in the fireworks at the long-awaited resentencing hearing for Lyle and Eric Menendez. The curveball just hours before it was set to begin. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman was in the courtroom today.
Tonight, a fiery courtroom showdown at that long-awaited resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers. In a last-minute move, LADA Nathan Hochman arguing the judge needs to see the state parole board's new risk assessment of the brothers before deciding if they should get a reduced sentence for the shotgun murders of their parents.
We believed it constituted additional facts that the court should consider in deciding whether or not the Menendez brothers do pose a risk of danger to society.
Inside, a frustrated Judge Michael Jessic rubbing his face, saying he needs to ask the governor's office for clarification about whether he can use the report, adding, "This is stupid." The now middle-aged brothers watching the fireworks fly via video feed from prison.
Why is it that this DA is abusing the victims?
Their attorney now filing a motion to get the DA kicked off the case after his team showed graphic photos of the victims in court without warning, saying it landed Jose Menendez's 85-year-old sister in the ICU for days.
One of his actions 30 hours later arguably put one of the matriarch of this family into the hospital after being found unresponsive. In 35 years, she'd never seen the picture.
Terry Baralt, who's battling cancer, sitting down for her first interview in more than 3 decades.
As I understand it, the doctor said you probably shouldn't be here right now.
I'm on chemo.
You're on chemotherapy.
Twice a day.
And still you felt like it was important for you to be here
I have been
now.
here, yes.
Why?
Because it means a lot to me.
And Aunt Terry Baralt is out of the hospital, but just moments ago, her daughter telling us that she will not appear in public again. It's simply too taxing. And that resentencing scheduled for today, now rescheduled for May 9th, Lindsay.
But obviously so important for her to attend. Matt, thank you. Late today here in New York, a federal grand jury indicting Luigi Mangione in the killing of a healthcare CEO on a Midtown street. The 4-count indictment, including a murder charge, making him eligible for the death penalty. Attorney General Pam Bondi has already signaled she will pursue the death penalty in his case. Now to the ABC News exclusive, George Stephanopoulos with a first look inside the Pennsylvania governor's mansion, with Governor Josh Shapiro and his wife Lori seeing the charred rooms together for the first time. A suspect called 911 an hour after the firebombing, saying he did it for the Palestinian people.
We're seeing this kind of rise in threats and attacks all across the country. Homeland Security has been warning about it for years.
It's real. I mean, this is sadly a real part of our society today, and it needs to be universally condemned, George. I don't care if it's coming from the left, from the right. I don't care if it's coming from someone who you voted for or someone who you didn't vote for, someone on your team or someone on the other team.
More from George and his time with the governor and first lady tomorrow on Good Morning America. When we come back, the school bus rolling over on the highway, one person killed, many others injured. The promising new pill for weight loss and the horrific cable car accident. 4 people killed when a cable snapped high above the ground. Tonight, an alarming school bus accident in Chester County, South Carolina, and late word one of the victims has died. The bus blowing a tire, rolling onto its side on Interstate 77. 35 children and 3 adults on board. 11 victims were taken to the hospital. Several are in critical condition. And a horrific cable car accident near Naples, Italy. Authorities say at least 4 people were killed. 1 person was badly injured when one of the supporting cables reportedly snapped. The cabin plunged to the ground. 16 passengers were rescued from other cars. When we come back, Eli Lilly with news on its new weight loss pill. To the Index, Eli Lilly says its new daily weight loss pill is showing promising results. The company says a late-stage clinical trial shows the pill is effective at helping patients with type 2 diabetes lose weight and lower blood sugar levels. Eli Lilly plans to request FDA approval later this year. When we come back, a popular bookstore on the move and the book brigade that showed up to help. Finally tonight, a page-turner for a bookstore on the move. It's been said there is no friend as loyal as a book. Turns out book readers are pretty loyal too. In the small community of Chelsea, Michigan, Serendipity Books was moving to a new location and needed some assistance with 9,100 books, taking them from the old store to a new one about a block away. The owner turned to social media for help, and the book brigade showed up.
People had been asking how they could help for a long time. So we came up with this crazy idea.
One by one, hand to hand, volunteers of all ages coming together, passing every title to its new home in less than 2 hours.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
The event went viral after the bookstore shared it on social media, picking up more than 1.5 million views on TikTok.
We're reeling from the community support, the outpouring of love that we experienced.
Fitting that a bookstore would have such a happy ending.
It's about a story about community in action. It's all about independent bookstores in our communities. That's what we need, and we're going to keep fighting all the way.
Serendipity with a brand new chapter ahead. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.